My name is Sophia. I go to Smith. I'm a senior, and I'm taking Sinhala.
So my name is Alex Bogdan. I go to UMass Amherst. I am a grad student there in my first and last year.
This is Margaret Nakayima. I am a junior at UMass. This is my third semester studying Swahili.
So I'm a second year student at UMass, and here at the Five College Center I study Turkish, but my major is Middle Eastern Studies, and I also study
I'm
Arabic.
Julia. I go to Hampshire College and I study animal psychology, and I'm currently taking Swahili classes.
So I chose Romania because they're currently doing research on prediction models for cervical cancer. So Romania has the highest levels of cervical cancer among any European nation. And it's also been known since the 1940s that arsenic naturally contaminates their groundwater. And so the work I'll be doing is developing statistical models to see if there's an association between the latent arsenic exposure and the incidence of cervical cancer.
And studying animal psychology, I've done research on elephants, so my goal was kind of to go back to East Africa, and I figured that learning more Swahili would probably be beneficial.
So the big difference is communication. I firmly believe that if I'm going to a country where English isn't the spoken language, that I should learn that language. Not only for civil reasons, but because you really can't experience a culture without knowing the language. Many people in the area I would be going to speak English, but to truly understand the food, the people, the music, the whole sphere of things, I'm going to need to know Romanian, and I look forward to studying it.
I think there's a lot of ideas about Africa in general that are really misled, especially in this culture here in the States. We think of Africa as entirely being safaris because that's what people primarily go there for. And so going there and seeing the diversity of both the landscape and the cultures and the languages and everything was just so incredibly diverse. You know, you'd be in one town that, you know, in Tanzania, they pretty much everywhere speak Swahili, but they also have all these clan languages. So you're in one town and you say like hello in their clan language, and then you're in the next town and they speak a completely different one. So you can communicate in Swahili, but it's like just maybe 50 kilometers over, they're speaking an entirely different language.
And I wanted to study Swahili because I am Ugandan, and it was the closest thing I could find to Luganda, which is the language that my family speaks. And I don't know, I'm just like very into African culture and just like especially East African culture, and I thought Swahili would be a great way to connect with other people that come from that part of the world.
And so going to Turkey was a new experience for me, which brought on this aspect of learning Turkish. And I really came to enjoy learning the language. You know, in a classroom setting in high school, it was very different than being in the country itself. So Turkish was a whole new world, and to love this country, this language that the people spoke, and felt like it was very much a part of the culture. And then if I wanted to wholeheartedly embrace this another country, another like nation, that I should also learn the language, which I came to find is very beautiful.
But the main reason why I'm taking the language is because I applied for a Fulbright fellowship to go to Sri Lanka for next year. So it's recommended that you learn the language. Like, I'm also going to be like being a teaching assistant full time. So I'm going to have like a real job that I'm like responsible to people for. So that's a whole other level. And then I'm just excited, like how's cooking and like clean and like just getting around. Like I'm gonna be a lot more independent. So I'm like a little nervous about that because I don't know. To be honest, like I don't know how to navigate adult life in any circumstance, so it's gonna be really funny trying to do that in Sri Lanka. It'll be amusing.
I didn't think I was gonna be able to really retain anything, or like to really be able to see Judith or see Agnes and greet them in Swahili, or you know, like maybe not be able to say things right off the bat, but know how to say something or like structure something in my head. I didn't think I was gonna get to that point because I was like, what is Swahili? Like I don't know any of those languages. It's not French, it's not Spanish. I can do that, but I can't do that. So it just made me realize like not to write off languages that are not particularly Western, and just to to really learn like how languages borrow from each other, and like learn that I could also learn those languages too, because Swahili borrows a lot from Arabic, and I never thought about considering Arabic like ever. But because I learned Swahili and see the Arabic words, now I want to learn Arabic. So
I studied languages in high school and in college, and this experience was very different, not in a bad way, but just in a unique way, in that I was the only person in the 5 college system studying Romanian, and there was only one person in the system who spoke Romanian. And so every Monday I would take the bus over to Mount Holyoke College, and I would talk with my language partner Alina for an hour each week. And we conversed about a lot of the content that was in the book, but we also talked about things that I might expect to see over there. So using real life situations. So instead of going to a coffee shop and ordering coffee, ordering tea, or a beverage that's more commonly ordered in the country.
I mean, it's hard having to do more things independently, but I think what's good about it though is that you have to, if you're in the conversation session, like your partner is gonna be saying things that you don't understand, and you're gonna have to say things that are like wrong. And in like a larger like language class, like you kind of have the option to sort of like not say anything unless you're fully sure. Like you can be more scared of making mistakes for longer, whereas you really do have to speak up, and you really just have to like sort of live in that space where you don't really know what's going on, and so you can't be embarrassed. Like you just have to say stuff. So you do kind of have to like you pass that barrier, I think, a little sooner in the tutor sessions rather than you would in a large classroom.
Okay, so before I went to Turkey, most people were going to Europe when I was a part of that program, and talking about, French and Spanish, these languages that are more widely spoken, and I thought about, I did have a thought that Turkish is not spoken by many people. I think it's maybe 90 million, and that idea was completely erased though after I started learning it, and coming back here I did realize that it is spoken in different areas of the world, and I don't think that it's not as widely spoken as Spanish and French and other languages, that it is not as important.